Welcome in to the beginning of a brand new week here on Seattle Seahawks Today. Tyler Schultz here with you. Thanks for joining us. We are talking the updated list of potential trade candidates for your Seattle Seahawks. After they moved on from Nick Harris yesterday, it doesn't mean the Seahawks are quite done just yet making moves. On today's show, we'll go over a list of potential players that the Seahawks could potentially trade before the start of the 2024 season. We'll go over that in just a matter of moments. Before we do, the Seahawks had a nice win on Saturday night, and I need you to spam W in the comments section for that Seahawks win. Let's hear it loud and clear. I don't care if it's the preseason, regular season. We'll take wins anytime they come our way here. Let's celebrate the win accordingly. Spam W in the comments, and we'll get started with today's show. On Sunday, right after the Seahawks came back from beating the LA Chargers, not even 24 hours later, the Seahawks were already on the move on the trade market as they traded off center Nick Harris to the Cleveland Browns in exchange for draft picks. Here is how the trade went down. The Seahawks gave up Nick Harris and a 7th-round pick in exchange for a 2026 6th-round pick. And this move came as a result of the Seahawks signing Connor Williams. And with keeping Olu, Nick Harris was the odd man out, as Seattle was not going to carry more than 2 centers on this active roster, and the Browns had a need at the center spot, so Nick Harris goes back to Cleveland where he was at previously. Obviously a solid trade for the Seattle Seahawks here. I think this is one of those few trades where both teams come away feeling pretty happy with what they ended up with, but I would expect that this is only the beginning of this potential trade cycle for the Seahawks of players that they'll move on from, of trying to get some potential extra capital and say bye to players that they would be departing from anyway when they get to roster cutdown day, that they want to look at to see what they can get something out of these guys before letting them walk for nothing. So let's go over the rest of the trade candidates here. Let's start with Mike Jackson at the corner position. Mike Jackson right now, he's a bit banged up. We did not see him in the preseason game on Saturday night. And by the looks of it, in training camp to this point, the Seahawks have a plethora of cornerback options right now. Trey Brown's had a very good camp. You've seen the rookies, DJ James and Pritchett. The Auburn Cats have really stepped up into the fold, along with other guys as well. Mike Jackson might end up being the odd man out. And here's the deal. We've seen Mike Jackson play pretty solid, right? He was the Seahawks starting outside corner next to Rick Woolen for the entire 2022 campaign. Started all 17 games, did a pretty decent job of it. He is a starter caliber corner here. But if he loses the job to Trey Brown, there's enough teams that need starter caliber corners out there that you can move on from Mike Jackson, not have to take on his salary, let somebody else pay it, and get something out of him, because otherwise he's potentially just going to be riding the bench and not getting playing time. So for the Seahawks here, as we have said for a number of weeks, that the Trey Brown, Mike Jackson situation, because you have other guys also trying to get playing time that are part of your future, it's kind of a loser leaves town ordeal. And with Mike Jackson, if he doesn't win that job, then he's potentially out of there, and the Seahawks try to see what they can get. It's not personal. It's just a potential business decision for the Seahawks here. What do you guys think? Should the Seahawks trade Mike Jackson? Type T for trade, K for keep. Way in the comment section, let us know what the Seahawks should do here. Next, we find Darrell Taylor at the edge rusher position. And we have told you a lot on this program over the last several months, since Mike Macdonald took this job, that he is looking for players across the board on offense and defense, and special teams for that matter, that can do multiple things. He doesn't want one-dimensional guys. And we all know a bit too well that Darrell Taylor is a one-dimensional guy, that he can get after the quarterback, but he struggles in run defense, he struggles in coverage. And you think about Draymond Jones moving to the edge rusher position, and Draymond Jones still going to play a bit on the defensive line as well. They're saying he's going to go back and forth a bit. Somebody's going to be the odd man out. And Darrell Taylor, among the edge rusher options for the Seahawks, has kind of the least amount of tools to work with. No one's arguing whether or not he can get after the quarterback. He does a good job at that, but he's too one-dimensional, if we're going to be honest, for what Mike Macdonald is looking for in this Seahawks defense. And there's teams out there that need pass rushers. There's a spot for Darrell Taylor in the National Football League, certainly. But in Seattle, probably not at this juncture. Today's show is sponsored by Game Time. Game Time, the place to go for last-minute tickets for the best seats and the lowest prices guaranteed. Game Time is an authorized ticket marketplace in Major League Baseball, which makes getting tickets faster and easier. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to first pitch. With killer last-minute deals, all in prices, views from your seat, and their lowest price guarantee, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets. Save up to 60% off buying last minute for sports, concerts, comedy shows, theater productions, and more. Here's how it works. You choose an event you want to go to, whether it's a Seahawks preseason game, a Seattle Mariners game, whatever it may be. Game Time's got the prices listed. You choose your seat, see if you like that seat or not, and then just like that, you're checking out on Game Time with Apple Pay, Google Pay, Venmo, all major credit card providers. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code CHATSPORTS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. The link is in the comments and the description of today's video. You knew this one was coming. Dee Eskridge makes our list as a potential trade candidate, the former second-round pick by the Seahawks, and he did not do much on Saturday night. And with that said, too, it wasn't that he just didn't do much, but the fact that other guys played well on Saturday that are competing for playing time at his position also in the fold as well. Dee Eskridge, we've been saying for quite a while now, had some work to do to make the 53-man roster at this point in time. And what I saw on Saturday night, I personally would say, you know what, it's time. It is time to move on from Dee Eskridge, as I know that he's supposed to be this return specialist and all that, but have we really seen that much in the return game? You can see the statistics. He hasn't done much in the receiving game over the years. He's had plenty of injury issues as well, and the off-the-field stuff and all that. I think it's Jover for Dee Eskridge at this point in time. I think that the Seahawks will try to shop him, see if somebody will take him. If they can get anything for Dee Eskridge, they would gladly take anything at this point. But if not, then he very well just might get cut and not make the 53-man roster at all. Will Dee Eskridge make the Seahawks 53-man roster? What do you guys think? Type Y for yes, in for no. Weigh in, get your predictions in now. Two more players to get to on our list today. Let's start with Artie Burns at the corner position. Artie Burns has had a very solid training camp to this point. He's done a very good job. But kind of like what we talked about with Mike Jackson, the Seahawks have some promising young options at that corner spot right now, guys that are part of their long-term plans, and Artie Burns just simply isn't a part of the long-term solution. And Artie Burns is a guy, he believes that he can be a starting caliber corner in the National Football League. But it's not happening in Seattle. I can tell you that right now. He's not going to be a starting corner for this Seahawks team. At best, he would be a rotational guy, and there's younger guys that would like to get in the mix. So they might potentially be able to get something for Artie Burns, too, on the trade market. Wouldn't be a lot, but maybe something better than nothing at this point for Artie Burns. Last on our list of trade candidates includes Stone Forsythe. I got to tell you, looking back on Saturday night, it was a rough outing for Stone Forsythe, to say the least. It was not his best performance. And credit where credit's due. I'm not going to completely dog the guy. As you look back at last season when Charles Cross and Abraham Lucas went down and the Seahawks were in full-on panic mode entering week 2, and for what was ahead of the next few weeks without those guys, Stone stepped up. He answered the call. His numbers, according to PFF, weren't terrible last year. Run block grade was solid, 71.4. Pass block grade of 40.9. Overall grade of 58.2. But I think his best days at this point are probably behind him. What we saw when he filled in was probably about as good as you're going to get. And you got some other guys as well that potentially are better options than Stone when it comes to that tackle position at this point in time. So I think that there's a good chance they move on from him, see if they can try to find something out there on the trade market. That is our full list. Now let's hear from you. Your turn to make the call here on the show. Who is a player the Seahawks should trade? Weigh in. Let us know. Give me a name that comes to mind. Thanks for joining us here on today's show. Give me a follow on X, formerly known as Twitter, @Tyler Jones Live, for continuing Seahawks coverage. I'm Tyler Jones. We'll see you next time.